Well, hey there, welcome. My name's Jeff. We are all the Animal Donut family. Hopefully, you have tapped that like button already, as well as subscribed to the channel. Today, I'm going to talk with you about the Animal Donut ETF, the ANDO ETF. For those of you who've been around for a while, last year I started this portfolio. It was May the 1st, 2024. I remember it like it was just yesterday. And you guys have just been so fun and so friendly and kind and playful about this and always interested. And some of you just asked me like, hey, would you recap kind of what's going on? Did you sell any of those stocks? Are you still holding them? What's going on? Please give us a recap. So I am going to share with you everything going on with the ANDO portfolio. At the start here, this is not financial advice. I just like to share with you what I'm learning about investing in stocks. And this has been an incredible experience. I learned a ton, and the portfolio's actually done really well when you look at the whole picture here. So let me just start with the stuff that sticks in my head when I think of ANDO, when I think of, what happened here, and then we can get a little bit more detailed. The first thing I learned was I don't like trailing stop losses. Now, when I created this portfolio, I was reading a lot about trading strategies, people who are in these Market Wizards book by Jack Schwager, and then also the Unknown Market Wizards, this book right here. And learning that a lot of people who trade regularly and who are really good, they do things to make sure they don't lose a lot of money. One of them is these trailing stop losses. So you just set this loss, it trails the price of the stock, and then if the stock goes up, 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 but then it comes down, you set it so that like if the stock comes down 10%, you sell. Or if it comes down 5%, you sell. Or in my case, I told my brokerage, hey, if this comes down 20%, sell it. And I was just experimenting with this. I find that sometimes unless I try something out in real life, it doesn't really stick. And so what I did was when I bought each of these different stocks, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, about 5 of them. Is that right? Yeah. I set a trailing stop loss for 20%. So what happened? Well, Vistra did really well for me last year, okay? And from the place I bought it, it went up and it went up and it went up. And then one day, June 6th, 2024, I woke up and checked my brokerage app and I had a lot more cash than I expected in it. I was like, where did this cash come from? Vistra had fallen 20% from its all-time high. From the high, at least during when I held it, it fell and 13 shares sold automatically. And then what happened about a month later on July 17th was that I noticed that another 13 shares of Vistra had sold, plus another 23 shares of Vistra, plus 3 shares of Constellation Energy. So, this is kind of what happens in markets. There is going to be volatility. That's almost a given. And what I found is that if you have trailing stop losses, sometimes just as part of the ebb and flow of markets, you will get stopped out. Now, if I were a very experienced trader, if I were doing this a lot and these companies didn't mean a lot to me as long-term holds, then I'd probably be really happy that I got stopped out of these because I would want to just limit my losses and then have that money to put into something else. What I've learned from this is I am not a trader and I don't like being stopped out of a stock that I like just because the price has come down. In fact, my own psychology is such that if I really like the company, like Vistra or like Constellation, when the price comes down 20%, I want to be a buyer of more shares, but I don't want it to sell my shares. Another thing I just realized is, this is silly, but if you get stopped out of a company's stock, you can always just turn around and buy more shares. Like nobody's stopping you from doing it. What did I do? I didn't do anything. I waited and I was kind of bummed out, but time passed And, that was June and July. I got stopped out. I didn't do anything during August except think about how much I wish I owned Vistra shares and Constellation. And then I finally decided, I remember it like it was yesterday. It was September 3rd. And I said, you know what? Because I had all this cash now from these stocks being sold. I'm just going to reinvest it all. And so that's what I did. September 3rd, I bought shares of Constellation. I bought shares of Vistra. I bought shares of Modine, Monolithic Power Systems, Eaton, and Transmedics Group. And I have to say, I got really lucky because if I hadn't bought that Vistra on that particular day, that was September 3rd, I might have just missed because it just took off. I bought those shares. I don't remember exactly how, but I took all the money from the sale of Vistra and just rebought it. But I bought them at, I think, $78 a share. And just taking a look at the Vistra chart here, VST. Yeah, it looks like you can see September 3rd was kind of right at the low point before it just took off. If I had not bought those shares, I would have been real bummed out about that. So anyway, what else can I say? During the last few days of 2024, I noticed a similar thing. I'd forgotten that I put trailing stop losses on Axsome Therapeutics, which is a company I really like whose stock I held. And as luck would have it, due to stuff beyond my control, the shares of Axsome Therapeutics came down a total of 20% from their high, and that triggered a sale of 2 tranches of Axsome Therapeutics stock. So I was out of those positions, and I remember going, oh geez, I didn't mean for this to happen. I want to hold this stock. But I was frustrated that I had lost, both of those little lots of stock, and then I wound up just deciding to sell the remaining part of those Axsome Therapeutics shares. My thinking being that I might just wait a little bit and then repurchase those shares sometime this year if that's what I want to do. But, it took me 2 times to learn this lesson, or maybe 3. Had to lose stock of Vistra, Constellation, Axsome Therapeutics, but I think I figured out the lesson now, which is if I want to buy the stock and own it for a while, don't use a trailing stop loss. That's my own lesson, not financial advice. For people who trade or people who like that kind of stuff, then I'm sure, power to you, as they say. So that is pretty much what happened with the portfolio. Just to give you a number on it, my gain for that portfolio, now that began May 1st, 2024. We're not even a year into the Ando portfolio, but my gain is 25.54%, not too shabby. And the other lesson, the big lesson, is the value of this kind of experimental portfolio. I really did not know anything about owning shares of energy companies like Vistra or Constellation, Modine Manufacturing, Eaton Corporation, Axsome Therapeutics, and Transmedics Group. They were like companies that I wanted to own the stock, but I didn't feel I really knew a lot about them yet. But I felt that having some skin in the game would make me look more closely at these businesses and understand them better. And that was the great gift here, because a few of the stocks in this portfolio I really understand well, specifically Vistra, Constellation, and Axsome Therapeutics. And so those are stocks that I am focused on a lot more right now and going forward. And I'm thankful that I made this Ando portfolio, because if I hadn't, I don't think I would have taken the chance and actually bought some of those stocks. And there really is nothing like owning something to keep it in the forefront of your mind. Have you ever noticed, if you look at a stock and maybe you add it to a watch list, but you don't buy it, that sometimes you forget about it, for months, maybe a year later, you're like, oh, what was that company again? And you just like forget about it. But if you own just even one share of a stock and it's in your brokerage, and you'll look at that every time you open up the app. So just owning a little bit helps to keep your mind focused on things. Man, with Vistra, I'm so thankful that I committed to buying those shares back after I got stopped out. And you know, the lesson now in 2025, I don't have stop losses on anything. But you know, sometimes you just have to try. You have to experiment in life, and that's sometimes the best way to learn a lesson. And so, hey, here I am sharing it with you guys. What do you think? You have any questions about this stuff? Two things I wanted to mention. Some of you guys have asked me to do a video about Monolithic Power Systems, MPWR. I haven't made that video. Nothing personal. It's just that I like to make a video if I have something to say about a company or I've learned something, etc. I don't have any new ideas or thinking about this company since I bought it, which was maybe 4 or 5 months ago. I will say this. I really overpaid for my shares of Monolithic Power Systems. I'm just taking a look back here to see when I first bought this stuff and when I first bought this stock. And I know that it was in the high 800s, potentially even in the low 900s when I bought this stock. And why is it taking me so long to find this? Yeah, then I did buy some more shares, I believe. Look, I'm just looking here. I bought 2 shares at $886, okay? And it was too high. But at that time, we didn't know. We didn't know that there'd be a lot of fear in the semiconductor industry, and that people would fear that semiconductor supply there'd be too much supply and not enough demand, and then there were fears about whether this AI stuff would all come true. So look, Monolithic Power Systems, I haven't changed my view on this being a great company. I have not bought any more shares, but I could wish that I had waited to buy my shares. Looking at the 1-year chart, this thing was at $900, high 800s for quite a while, you know, through September and October of 2024. That's when I bought my shares. And then it went down to the high 500s, mid 500s. So for those of you, some of you guys were looking at Monolithic Power Systems and saying, I'm looking for a good time to get in. And I remember at least one of you in the comments, once it fell like 25% or more, buying it in the 500s and saying, hey, I'm glad I waited. So congratulations to you. If you wanted to buy that and you had the patience not to, you know, pay high 800s or 900s, you did yourself well there. You did a good thing for yourself. And I learned something, which is perhaps if something's gone up a lot during the course of the year and it seems like it might be a little too expensive, it probably is. So what do I think now? I mean, this stock basically crashed down to high 500s and now it's in the 600s, 625. Not financial advice. I'm just telling you, I still own my shares of Monolithic Power Systems. This is one company I didn't get stopped out of. I think I purchased this in the Ando portfolio, but I didn't put a trailing stop loss on it. And I could actually check that, because if I look at this portfolio and I still own 2 shares, yep, there we go, 2 shares, and they're valued, the last quote was $626.50. So I continue to hold them. I don't think the company has materially changed for the worse. It's just that investors decided, oh my gosh, there's too much uncertainty, and everybody sold. But the market is there to serve you. It's not there to instruct you. There's nothing you can learn from a stock price coming down. Nothing at all, except that other people freaked out. But it doesn't mean that the company's worse. And so that's why I continue to hold Monolithic Power Systems. So that pretty much rounds out the Animal Donut portfolio. And I still got the stocks. There are 6 of them, count them 6. Constellation Energy, Eaton, Modine, Monolithic Power, Transmedics Group, and Vistra. And if you're curious which ones have been the best performers since I bought these things, the top portfolio performer in Ando, I'm going to do a screenshot of this so I can have this on record, have a little picture for you guys. The top one is Vistra Corp at 88.09% since I purchased it back on September 3rd at $78 a share. Then Constellation Energy at 39.10%, Modine Manufacturing at 18.57%, Eaton Corp at 3.84%, Monolithic Powers negative 29.43%, and Transmedics Group negative 61.11%. I don't think Transmedics Group is a bad company. I just think they're having a tough time. It's a small cap. You got to expect a lot of volatility. And, you know, the amount of shares of Transmedics that I got is small enough that the loss on that position isn't horrible. Of course, I'd love for it to come back, but not financial advice because it may never. Who knows? Same with Monolithic Power Systems, same with any stock. Nobody knows. Anything can happen in markets. So anyways, I think the big lessons for this particular portfolio were that it opened up my eyes to companies like Vistra, Constellation, and Modine Manufacturing, which I never would have owned if I hadn't experimented with this Ando stock portfolio. So thanks so much for spending some time with me. Hopefully you enjoyed this recap. Let me know what you think. Do you own any of the stocks in this portfolio, or have you been thinking about buying them? Always love to hear from you guys. As I've said, it's my favorite part of having a YouTube channel is just getting your comments and your feedback underneath in the comment section, because making a video is actually a lot of fun putting this together for you guys, but it completes the loop when I hear back from you guys. So even if it's just a word, you could just put a little emoji down there and send it to me in the YouTube comments, and it would make my day. So go for it. Try me out, see what you think, and I will get back to you, of course. So thanks so much for stopping by. Remember to like and subscribe and all that stuff. Thank you for being here, and I will see you in the next video.